Hello everyone and welcome to Saturday. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of an initial product review because I've been using a product now for just about 2 months and I've been really impressed with it, and I'm ready to talk about it because I've now put it through its initial paces. I plan on doing a lot more with it, and maybe at some point I'll do an updated review, how I feel in a year, or when I've done things with different resolutions, or if I've done stuff with HDR. But in the meantime, this is my DeckLink Quad HDMI recorder review from the perspective of someone who's been using it for about 2 months. So as a little recap, we've been streaming on Twitch now for a few years. We have used a custom-built computer that I built just for streaming on Twitch, and it's been great up until it just wasn't keeping up with what we needed it to do. There has been occasions where we've done really complicated alerts, which ate up our CPU, and also whenever we were doing visually complicated games, in order to capture that the quality we wanted, we had to change some settings in OBS, which basically made the file sizes insane. So it was time to upgrade. So at the beginning of this year, we got a new computer, and due to the chip shortage, we couldn't build a computer. We had to buy a computer, which sucked, but we did it. We got a Corsair computer, and it's been a little weird, but we've mostly got it working all right. But when it came time to do our first major project with it, it was Pokemon Let's Go, which is actually one of the most complicated projects we've done on Twitch, because we're capturing not just our face cam and not just the game, but another game, because both Mao and myself are playing through different versions at the same time. So that means 3 different HDMI inputs, all coming in at 1080p 60, and we have to capture all of them at the same time. And when I say 1080p 60, I mean it. We're capturing all of them at max resolution, which means that in OBS we're actually capturing at 4K. Which is cool. It's one of the benefits of having a newer computer. It's like, we can do this. We're only streaming at 1080 because Twitch doesn't support 4K streaming, but we're capturing at 4K, which means that we can cut YouTube highlights at 1080p later, and we have full game resolution available to us. It's really nifty. So when we had to set all this up, I've been doing this for a long time. I have a lot of capture cards at my disposal. We got stuff from Magewell, from Elgato, plenty of stuff from Elgato. We've got stuff most recently from EVGA, because EVGA made a capture card that I honestly really, really like, especially for the price. So we've got all these cards, and we're connecting them to the computer, and we started to run into problems. We ran into some problems, and the problem that you run into is that there's not enough bandwidth. If you start plugging a lot of stuff into your USB slots, especially if you're trying to capture 1080p 60 footage off of multiple things, you're going to run out of bandwidth. And it actually took me a while to discover the correct way to plug everything into the computer where we didn't have problems. There was actually a Pokemon stream that I did where from the beginning of the stream to the end of the stream, the camera audio and video drift out of sync because there's just not enough bandwidth on the bus. And depending on what port your stuff is plugged into, and I guess by association, what the other stuff's plugged into, like what combination of ports you've chosen, things run smoothly or not. And that, first off, that sucks. It just sucks that, there's a magic way to plug all this in to make sure that you're on the right, bus. That's stupid. I hate that just as a concept. But number 2, even when you do get it working, it means that you don't have any USB ports left because you're using up all your USB bandwidth. And what are you supposed to do if you suddenly need to attach? If you had to attach a 4th capture card, you're just out of luck. That would be impossible. And I understand that this is sort of a niche thing. Most people don't have to attach a ton of things, but if you do, and you don't have the bandwidth for it, you're just kind of screwed. So that kind of brings me back to this. A long time ago, I used to use a Blackmagic product for capturing, and it was the Intensity Pro. I loved the Intensity Pro. I used it for literally everything that I did, and it literally never gave me any problems whatsoever. In fact, it kind of set my expectations a little bit too high, because then when I got into the world of Elgato, it turns out that occasionally, and it's rare, but still occasionally, there are problems. And admittedly, there's problems with anything, right? I don't want to speak like Blackmagic will just always work forever and everything's perfect. But that was my experience, my personal experience with the Intensity Pro. So I was excited to get back into the world of Blackmagic, and this is a great way to do it. What this is, if you probably already tell, it's a PCIe card, like the Intensity Pro was, and it allows you to hook up 4 HDMI inputs, and those HDMI inputs are actually quite high quality. They can be 4K 60. I believe, I haven't tested this, but I believe the card also supports HDR. So you wind up with 4 4K 60 HDR inputs. That is a wild deal. This is an expensive card. I won't lie to you. I think MSRP on this is like $550, maybe a little less. That's a lot of money. But if you consider that you have 4 4K 60 capture cards, it starts to seem like more of a deal. Because if you wanted a 4K 60 capture card and you were going to go through like Elgato, I think they're like $200, right? So if you were to buy 4 of them, which you couldn't even do because they're PCI cards and you would have to like have a lot of space available on the back of your computer, you know, it would cost $800. Magewell also has a card that does the same thing, and it's I think about $900. So like, this is a very reasonable product in my opinion. There's going to be plenty of folks that cannot justify something like this. I understand that, but if you are in the market for a product that allows you to plug 4 HDMI devices into one single card, this works. I've been using it for 2 months. And the advantage of this is, for one, everything's perfectly in sync and everything just works perfectly, which has been really nice. The other thing is that I got all my USB ports back. So if I have to plug something up into a USB port, I can, and it works. And that's just it. Like, there's not a whole lot more to say. I'm going to continue to use this, but I've been using this now several times a week, doing multiple streams a week, and it has worked fine. It hasn't given me any problems. One of the interesting things about Blackmagic products in use with OBS is that you actually get a new source within OBS, like a new source type. Generally, when you're adding a capture device to OBS, you would use, I think it's called a video capture device. When you install Blackmagic device in the drivers, you get a Blackmagic source. Like, Blackmagic has drivers for their products for OBS, and it just works really, really well. Like, I haven't had a single problem with it, which is fantastic, because I don't want to have any problems. Who would? I don't want to find out that something's drifting. I don't want to find out that something's not working. And since we've used this now for about 2 months, I haven't had those issues. Now, I obviously want to keep using it, and maybe in a year I'll do an updated review or something to talk more about it. I'd also love to test the 4K possibilities with this, because I haven't done any 4K captures with it, and I could. I mean, we have a PS5, but it can do that. And for the price, God, that's astoundingly good. It's an astoundingly good product, and it's nice to be back using a Blackmagic capture device. So I'm excited about that. And that's basically it. That's basically all I had to say. Now, I know some folks are going to be like, oh, so now that you're using that, do you no longer recommend some of the other things? No, I still do. The capture card that I recommend to folks now, and have been for probably the past few months, maybe a year, is the EVGA XR1 Lite. Fantastic card. It's a great card that has all of the same features as most of the Elgato cards at a fraction of the price. The MSRP on that card is $60. I think since the chip shortage, it's ascended to like $80. But I've also seen it on sale as low as $45. And for $45, yes, that card is worth it. In fact, I believe that everyone should own a capture card if the capture card works as well as that one does and is $45. because then you never know. Oh, we need to capture something. Oh, you can do it. Plug this in. You're done. Most people want to capture 1080p 60 footage. There's going to be people that want to capture something else, but most people, that's what they want to capture. And the EVGA XR1 Lite does that. It just does. And it's, MSRP is $60. And can an Elgato do it? Sure. An Elgato, it's fine. An Elgato is fine. But they're $150. And why would you pay more for something that can do it for cheaper? That's just my point. And are there other Elgato cards that do other things and have other features? Sure. But, with Elgato, you are generally paying a bit of a premium. And in my personal experience, it's not really a premium product. It's fine, but occasionally you'll run into problems. As you probably will with anything. Probably. But they're not my favorite. They're not my favorite. For the cost, they're not my favorite. Anyway, so that's it. We got this a few months ago now, and I wanted to talk about it, but I obviously wanted to use it. And now that I've had a chance to use it, I feel confident. 2 months. It's just been 2 months, but so far I'd recommend it. And if you're interested in this product, and I know it's a very niche product, I will put the link to it in the description, as well as the EVGA, because that is more accessible for folks. And you can pick those up if you're interested. If you do, we'll get some sort of kickback. I don't know what Amazon's doing now, but something. But yeah, great product for those who can use it. And I understand that plenty of people can't, but if you can, it's nice. Oh, and one more thing, because I know that you may have this specific question. I did too. These are inputs, just 4 inputs. If you've used other capture devices, you may be familiar with them having a pass-through or HDMI out. This doesn't have that, so you might be wondering, well, how does that work? Well, in OBS, the way we do it is we bring in our stuff, and then you can actually take an individual source and output it to a screen. And that's what we do. So if I turn the camera around real quick, you can see I got 3 screens here. This is how we've been doing Pokemon. So on this screen, we'll have OBS. On the top screen, we'll have Mal's switch. And then on the right screen is my switch. And that works fine. Is there latency? Yes, there is inherently latency because it is not a pass-through. However, it hasn't been a problem. In fact, to test it, I played Smash Ultimate, using this method, like playing on these screens, having it run through the device. And I was able to play it just fine. I am sure that there is latency. I am sure that a professional fighting game player would be able to say, oh, wait, I can see the latency here. But for me, I didn't notice any problems. So, I mean, your mileage may vary. If you're someone that does gaming and it's like down to the millisecond, you really care about that, then you may want to consider a card that has pass-through. If you're not, then this might work for you. But also, this is a super niche product, and you're more than likely just trying to get like an EVGA or something because you need like one thing. In which case, plug it up to USB. Your system can support 1 card for sure. Your system can probably support 2 cards for sure. But if you start to get into the realm of 3 cards, like, you really should be looking at like a different product, especially if you don't have any cards already. If you have cards already, then it might make more financial sense to just buy something new. If you don't have anything, then you should consider something like that probably. Okay, I'm done. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. And let's meet back tomorrow, shall we? For my birthday. Should be fun.